Hello, everybody. It's exactly 2 o'clock, and I think we should start. That's okay, Christine? Start by now.
Very good.
Yeah, it's been now 7 months since we all met in Abu Dhabi, and it's really, in a way, unbelievable that the world has changed so much in these 7 months. I think, by the way, that we were very lucky in Abu Dhabi that nothing seriously happened with the outbreak. But immediately after that, when we all returned to our home countries, then it was clear that the world would not be the same again for a long time. I hope that you're all safe and okay. But of course, there are a lot of things which have been changed. Fortunately, also a lot of things have continued, and I think we have to thank the Secretariat for doing a lot of work and also organizing online UTCs, because the digital connections made it possible that many activities are still possible, and that though we are not physically connected, in a digital way, we are connected. And sometimes it seems that the world has become smaller, despite the fact that you cannot meet anymore. We are all probably the same like me in all kind of online platforms with all parts of the world. And it's like you're talking to people who are living nearby, but in fact they're living on the other side of the world. So that may be one of the good things that we can keep from this crisis. We will start with the video and the message from the executive director, and I would like to invite Leon to start it.
Mr. Smulders from Akadis, dear World Urban Campaign co-chair, Mr. Bert Smulders from Akadis, Ms. Sri Husnaini Sokjan from Wairo Commission, and Mr. Sandeep Chatra from Action Aid India. Dear World Urban Campaign partners, a very good morning, afternoon, or evening to all of you, wherever you are in the world. It is my pleasure to open this World Urban Campaign Assembly today and to welcome you all to this milestone event. Since the last World Urban Campaign Steering Committee meeting held during WUC 10, life has changed in many respects for all of us. In many countries, there is a race to go back to a new normal, but in many others, the pandemic is triggering multiple damaging impacts. To address the complex situation, I believe that you have moved forward by engaging in a series of dialogues through the COVID-19 Urban Thinkers Campus series to reflect on the many gaps faced in cities and communities during the pandemic. You have also revisited the vision and the governance of the World Urban Campaign through a robust process managed by the WUC Secretariat. The new vision of WUC reinforces the need to achieve tangible results, to achieve the new urban agenda and the SDGs in partnership with UN Habitat. I am delighted that this was achieved in order to make the World Urban Campaign fit for purpose to better contribute to the UN Decade of Action. The UN Decade of Action demands urgency and ambition. It is a call to the world to rapidly ramp up action. This requires strong advocacy and engagement to help galvanize and connect people and actors to take action for an inclusive and sustainable urban future. I believe that the World Urban Campaign can help in that global advocacy effort. Today is an important day, as the steering committee has just been elected and the World Urban Campaign will start afresh with a new governance. I would like to congratulate the new elected constituent group chairs, who will form the steering committee. Your role is important to revitalize the campaign, to contribute to action towards achieving the SDGs. The essence of the campaign is to promote dialogue and cooperation, to accelerate urban change and jointly promote solutions and action. I would like to commend the work of the three co-chairs, Bert Smolders, Sri Husnaini Sofjan, and Samdik Chatra for their leadership in this recent difficult month. I would like to reassure you about UN Habitat's commitment to the World Urban Campaign. We are also counting your active engagement to help us deliver the urban dimensions of the decade of action. Thank you.
Well, thanks to the Executive Director, Ms. Maimouna Mod Sharif, for giving us this introduction. Welcome to everybody. We already got 47 participants. I think that's an excellent achievement already by now. You all received the agenda. And I think I would like to ask Christine O'Care, who is the host for this conference, to take over and lead this meeting.
I'm going to share a presentation. Sorry, that's the presentation. Sorry for that. I'm going to share. Can you see all the draft agenda?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oops. Okay.
Yeah, now I see Christine O'Care.
Sorry.
What?
You see? Do you see the agenda?
No, not yet.
Okay.
The screen is not shared yet.
Okay, there is a problem. I can't share.
Okay, just before
Okay.
you work. Yeah.
So I'll guide you through the agenda, because from now I am expecting introduction by the WUC co-chair, Bert, Sri, Husnaini Sofjan, and Sandeep Shashwa to introduce the assembly. And after that, we will start the secretariat update.
Good. Yeah.
So over to you.
Yeah, and everybody already had, that's also in the invitation, is the agenda, so everybody can read it also for themselves. Now, introduction, I already started at 2 o'clock with emphasizing what a big change the world has been since 7 months only. It's unbelievable. And in that time, quite a lot has happened in the World Urban Campaign. There have been a number of Urban Thinkers campuses. I think that Christine will report on that and give some more clarity on which Urban Thinkers campuses have happened. Like the ED mentioned, many of them were focused on the COVID-19, and especially on the aftermath of COVID-19, because it's clear that the world will not be the same anymore. Yeah, we must take our lessons from the COVID-19 and the building back better, which is the motto of UN Habitat in crisis, is never been more appropriate than in this time. Yeah, one of the lessons that we learned is the importance of online connections, and that's what we are doing now. We've got now 40 participants in the online meeting. I think before we didn't have so many in World Urban Campaign meetings. Everybody's getting used to this kind of things. I hope that soon we will be able to meet again. hopefully somewhere next year. But in the meantime, this is a great way to continue working and to continue the World Urban Campaign and make it stronger and stronger. Thanks, I said it already, to the Secretariat who've been working hard with the new with the working groups for the division, the legislation, and the other activities who have been there, especially the Urban Thinkers campuses. And yeah, I think in the course of this meeting, we will hear more of these activities. Over to you, Sri. Sri? Otherwise, Sandeep, and maybe after that, Sri. Sandeep, I see you on the screen in India, so you should be there.
Thank you, Bert, and thank you, Christine. And wonderful to hear Maimuna. Very warm welcome to all partners today. All 53 of us, salutations from New Delhi, the dusk in New Delhi. And a very, very warm welcome and congratulations to all the newly elected chairs and co-chairs of the partner constituent groups. This is wonderful that we have a new steering committee. And as the executive director says, new energy, new shoulders couldn't have been better for the World Urban Campaign at this time. Coming from the city I do, one of the world's largest, and at the theater of what Bert was speaking, the COVID-19 crisis extended into 2021, a theater of urbanization seemingly gone wrong. And this I can generalize for large parts of the world where cities have seen what probably has been wrong with urbanization, what opportunities are there. So in some ways, in ways more than one, I think for the World Urban Campaign, and friends, you'll agree with me, presents a wonderful opportunity for all kind of change makers that the World Urban Campaign has. People who believe in sustainable futures of inclusive urbanization. So very, very warm welcome to this journey ahead. The world's opened up in ways like it hasn't before. And it is the opportunity, I believe, a historic opportunity for all progressive change makers to see the kind of urbanization and make the kind of urbanization that is possible. At this moment, coming from where I am, having been connected to cities around the world, urban governance is far, far more open to listen to ideas for future, to incorporate those ideas for future in the planning. So with that hope and optimism, I warmly welcome you to this steering committee, to this assembly, and a very, very warm welcome once again to the newly elected chairs and co-chairs. Look forward to work with you. And Sri, if you're online, I would like to pass the baton to you to add your weight to what you see as the opportunities going ahead. Thank you, Bert, and thank you, Christine.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sandeep. I was looking in the list of participants. It's now 55, by the way. Numbers keep rising. That's very helpful.
Lovely.
But now I see Sri just coming online. Sri, please come in.
A very
Sri
good morning.
Yep.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are. It's good to be with all of you again. I think we are very fortunate to be able to meet together. I commended all the members of the World Urban Campaign who've been very active during this difficult time, participating in various the one that is specifically focused on COVID-19. So we have a list of recommendation, ideas, and also, there. So we are, in a way, even though through this difficult time, moving forward. And also, we have successfully conducted the election. So I look forward to continue working with you and as successful with your full participation. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Sri, and it's really a pleasure to work with you and Sandeep. Christine, do you take over again with your presentation, and maybe you can continue hosting it?
Okay. Thank you, Bert. Thank you, Sri. Thank you, Sandeep. In the room right now. Very happy to meet the Water Bank Campaign family today. And I'm going to update you very briefly on this to start this assembly. We have done a lot, as everybody was saying, since the steering committee meeting, a new start, fresh start for the campaign. So in March, April, and May, we redefined the vision and governance of the campaign. Then in May, very quickly, we started the COVID-19 UTC series. In phase 1, we had 9 UTCs, 1,110 participants. Phase 2, in June, 32 UTC, 2,500 participants, a lot of interesting stuff. We have produced report to prepare proposing recommendation to all the partners of UN Habitat. And then at the end of June, the WUC vision was approved by the partners, by the working groups, proposal for UTC phase 5 on the 11th of July, and then started a series of UTCs of the phase 5 at the end of August. We will have 40 UTCs up to the beginning of December, 3,500 participants. It's quite a lot. I must mention during Urban October, a lot has happened. A lot of partners of the campaign have actually had activities to celebrate cities and World Habitat Day. And then we, as you know, we had the election. It's a very important moment for the campaign at the end of October. So we organized those elections online. And then last week we announced the result. So I think in all those months, from February to October, we have done tremendously. And the ED, as you heard, was commending the work of the World Bank campaign in terms of engagement and advocacy, policy dialogue, governance. So more than ever, the campaign has really been active, show its leadership in terms of advocacy, and there are very interesting numbers like 4.3 billion. The hashtag Take Action for Cities, for example, reached. It's really a lot. 3,600 participants in the UTCs, you know. So I think it's really a lot, and I'm sure we have not mentioned everything because a lot of partners have done their own events, not always sharing because they were, they were very busy and very engaged on their side. So what I want to update you today, for those who have not followed exactly what happened in terms of the new governance, we have transitioned from a governance that was a bit complex to a simplified governance. We had 5 types of members in the past, and we had the steering committee and the standing committee. We have reduced to one body called the WUC steering committee. So we have eliminated the standing committee for more flexibility. And now the standing committee is, the standing committee has been removed, as I said. And then the new simplified governance is basically composed of the steering committee comprising 16 PCG chairs. They meet quarterly online. So there is no standing committee, which was a second layer of governance, which was slowing down the process. And then we have an assembly that allows the participation of everyone. So today is a second assembly, but we are meant to have at least one assembly per year. The new WUC membership is composed of sponsors, partners, and city changers. City changers is to allow individuals to take part in the campaign. So now we have eliminated the statement of commitment, so it brings some flexibility in the campaign. And then we have the steering committee with 16 PCGs. So some of you have been elected last week as head of PCGs. Congratulations. And you will meet every 3 months on a quarterly basis to basically define what the campaign is going to do. So it will be much more flexible. So the head of the PCGs will work with their groups to define what they want, and then the heads of PCGs will gather regularly. And so the TORs of the campaign have been reviewed. You can consult them, they're on the website. They're quite well defined. The steering committee has been redefined. Frequency and venue of meetings. So once a trimester, virtually. So this is a lesson from the COVID. Before we were meeting face-to-face. Now it's a different face-to-face. It's online. The vision has been also revised. The vision of the campaign is together, shaping the future of cities, leaving no one behind. The goal is basically to achieve the urban dimension of the SDGs. And then the mission is to contribute to solutions and take action in the implementation of the new urban agenda and the acceleration of the SDGs by 2030. There are several strategic actions. I'm not going to read those. Most of you have participated in the drafting of those strategic action and vision. And we have clearly redefined what is the WUC as a coalition. So basically to enable dialogue and cooperation. And finally, the action are driven by principles of ambition, because we have only 10 years to go to meet the SDGs, collaboration, we have to be result driven, and we have to work in partnership. So I will end here. Over to you. Now I think it is Sandeep or Sri to take over for the round of introduction for PCG elected chair and co-chairs. Over to you.
Sandeep, I think.
It is my pleasure and honor. Christine, thank you. And obviously, it's my pleasure and honor to welcome the newly elected chairs and co-chairs, each one of us. Lovely election, the challenges of online election notwithstanding. We've done it. And it is with a great pleasure that I would like to welcome all the members, and there's obviously some vacancies, but all the members who had the courage of conviction, who had the belief in the World Urban Campaign to go for an election process. To probably your friends cajoled you to do so. You thought that it's important for the future of the World Urban Campaign, and I honor this thought. We all honor this thought. Thank you so much. The way we've designed this session, friends, is to have a session of self-introduction. We have on your screens, if you notice, the newly elected chairs, and in some instances, joint elections. So the co-chairs for the roles that have been specified, the roles you stood for. So thank you for doing so. I will, in the order displayed in the screen, given the time that we have, invite you, starting with the local and sub-national authorities. Christian Hubel is there with us from the city of Mannheim. We have had, all of us know him. We've had a lovely opportunity of listening to his quiet voice, his very substantive voice over the years. So the way we've structured this session is to allow you about a minute and a half, friends. Forgive me if it's time limited, but to introduce yourselves and to introduce what you see in short ways, what you see as your message for future to the World Urban Campaign Assembly. So Christian, if you are there, please.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much, Sandeep. Dear colleagues, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Thank you here in the World Urban Campaign and taking for you and making a little bit the world better. And we hope we are doing this with this quarterstone, which we can do here. Yeah, I'm in the local and subnational authorities group, and my task will be to get the local and subnational authorities more aligned to the NGOs in the cities, so we have a more integrated way of working on the SDGs and working on leaving no one behind. And the goal would be to have a benchmarking and to have a network which makes a collective impact and tangible efforts for making the world a little bit better, and therefore making the connection between the local and subnational authorities and the NGOs a little bit more tighter. And that would be the task for the next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. And needless to say, friends, we all agree that the role of local and subnational authorities, local governance, to become members is an important one. So we really look forward to your energy and leadership, Christian, with all of us to enable that. I would then have the honor and opportunity to invite the two co-chairs from the research and academia group. To begin with, Tamara. Tamara, if you would like to forgive Guzman, if you would like to introduce yourself and what your message.
Ok, buenos días, mi nombre es Tamara Quiroz Guzmán, punto focal del campus de pensadoras urbanas de Licia, región Centro-Sur. Tengo un placer por haber sido elegida presidenta del grupo de investigación y academia del grupo constituyente. Me dio mucho gusto escuchar a la directora ejecutiva. Pertenezco al bufete de estudios interdisciplinarios, que es el secretariado técnico de Mira Pensadoras Urbanas. Nos proponemos trabajar para que los jóvenes adquieran una cultura de los principios de la nueva agenda urbana y de la campaña urbana mundial, y que esto sea replicado a toda la sociedad para acelerar el proceso de transformación que tanto anhelamos. Muchísimas gracias. Un saludo desde mi bello México.
If anybody would want to translate it,
I can, yes.
Yes, please.
I can send. Introducing ourselves, and she focused on the importance of focusing on the new urban agenda, especially she wants to promote a culture for the youth on the implementation of the new urban agenda. That was the gist of her message. Thank you, Tamara.
Welcome, Tamara. We love academia, we love research. It is one of the legs going forward, and I'm sure at the forthcoming meetings you'll be discussing what research agendas can we collaboratively do. And with that, I also invite Serke Monteiro, please, from the Federal University of Pernambuco, Brazil, to please introduce.
Oh, yeah, okay. Hi, my name is Circe Monteiro.
Yes, please go ahead. Circe.
Yeah, Circe. I'm a professor at Federal University of Pernambuco in northeast of Brazil. And I'm in academia, but I live in a shanty town many years, and I learned that we need a lot of different visions and knowledge in order to understand life in this different point of view. So I am an architect, urbanist with a doctorate in urban sociology from Oxford University, but I have been working and doing research in environment psychology, architecture, urban planning, and many other fields. And my interests are deep rooted in the understanding of how cities and places in different contexts affect the quality of life of people and what made them happy. So I am interested in this representation at WUC because I am really concerned with the slow pace of policies and programs devoted by many governments in order to transform our cities in sustainable ones. And I believe that there is a lot of new insight and lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic, and all the knowledge emerged that universities should be openly offered and intensively and collaboratively to help partners to achieve the ODS goals. So I'm really happy to be with you in this meeting and in the WUC. Thank you.
Thank you, Circe. And Circe, forgive my pronunciation, forgive my Indianness for a moment. Thank you for joining us, and inspiring to hear that you are talking of praxis. So both research and action going ahead together. So and that's what the campaign needs. So really, thank you for joining us. I want to now come to save time to the civil society cluster. My friends Ben Wong and Chris, in that order. I am also labeled as civil society, whatever it means. So really, Ben, over to you for your view on civil society, and then Chris.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be part of this exciting movement. My own conviction is that I think the changing of our membership that actually extend to inclusiveness and the more participation, I think is a really right way to go. And from where the civil society organization sit, I think we need to just have a structure where we can have more localization and regionalization in terms of participation. So, the way to see it is to see whether we can link up all this and then we can have a stronger voice, from the civil society. The other thing that I'm looking at is really thinking that we need to have some integration between the various PCG, because we need to have an integrated approach. Probably not the 16 of us of groups, but there will be similar area where we can together, probably present a stronger case, particularly, in terms of bilateral kind of negotiation with government and policy influencing. So really looking forward to work with you guys, and very excited about this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, and we take note, all of us, of your counsel on how to integrate. Apart from the other point that you made, look forward. I welcome Chris Elisara. So, Chris, please come forward.
It's good to be here. I'm talking to you from Southern California, where it's about 5:30 a.m. So it's early morning, but I'm very excited to be here and to hear from Ben. And Ben and I haven't had a conversation yet, but he hit on the 2 points that I wanted to make. And so I won't repeat those, but say that communication is going to be key to our constituency group. And so I've put in the chat my email and my phone number. Feel free at any time to reach out to me, contact me, talk, and share your ideas, concerns, anything that you may want to bring to our attention, so that we can bring into the mix of the conversation and the dialogue. And I also want to emphasize that I want to work with all the other chairs and the steering committee, so that we're breaking down the silos and cooperating where we need to. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the conversation today, and turn it back to you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Chris, for your openness and your call to for all of us to reach you with ideas. It's been a pleasure working with you. Thank you. Honored that you are here today. May I then invite our friend from grassroots, Malik Gai. Malik, you are very active on the social media, but of course in French, and a language which Christine understands better than I do. So Malik Gai, if you are there, please come and introduce and give your view. From ENDA, Malik?
I think Malik is not here. I have sent him a WhatsApp today.
Okay, so we will come back to Malik to hear what he has. Yes, so we go on to our friend Limota. Limota is going to be representing the women's PCG. So Limota, please take your ideas in a minute.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. This is Limota from Nigeria, representing the Wairo Commission and the Women Constituency Group. I'm so delighted to be here and to see from the World Over campaign. My vision is to ensure that the Women's Constituency Group, our organization, as platform for the full implementation of the new urban agenda, and to ensure that policy engagements and influencing policies at the UN Habitat high-level meetings, and to ensure that no one is left behind, including the grassroots women voices, to be able to amplify their voices in all the Habitat agenda and and to support the advocacy engagement of World Urban Campaign. Thank you so much, Limota.
Thank you, Dr. Limota. And we look forward, as always. And from the World Vision International, we have Elaine Rabani. Elaine, if you're there, to represent the Children and Youth Work Group. Many would say the future of the world. I would concur. So, Elaine, over to you, really, what your view would be.
Thank you, Sandeep. Hi, everyone. My name is Aline Rahbani. I'm calling from Toronto in Canada. And yeah, I agree with you. Not only the future, children and youth are the present, shaping the societies and cities we live in. And I'm very pleased to be elected in this constituent group. And my vision is to continue to play a role in keeping children and youth a priority in the urban agenda, and for the World Urban Campaign to be represented in key alliances and dialogues that are influencing the current and the future livability in cities, especially for the most marginalized groups and children and youth among them. Thank you so much, and really looking forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Elaine. I mean, all of us know, and we from experience, that if we can get the leadership and energy of young people, the future of cities will be quite different. So I think this would be very, very crucial in your thinking and deliberations going forward. But I know all of us have views on it, and I think there's an appropriate moment later when we will be discussing in our next meeting the substance of how we go forward on each of the groups. And then I have really the honor to once again invite our co-chair, Bert. Bert, tell us what industry has in store in your view, what business has in store, and warm welcome, Bert.
Okay, thanks, Sandeep. I'm always been amazed how little interest there was from the UN community towards business and industry, and other way around, from the private sector, from business and industry towards organizations like UN, because it's so important to connect the ideals and the policies which are made on the international level by organizations like UN Habitat and organizations who are a large part of the society in the reality of the social economic conditions, which is business and industry. And I think it's so important to connect it. It's also very important that business and industry takes their responsibility. Of course, in many ways, they're also in a negative way, and I think they should comply with the requirements which are set by organizations as the UN. But saying that, I think they also can play a very important role in innovation, in bringing new ideas towards organizations like the UN, and especially in implementation of the policies like the new urban agenda in the daily work that they're doing. So I hope that we can contribute in a way. I've been working from our company for the last 10 years with the shelter program, supporting UN Habitat. And I hope to continue and also engage other business and industries in that way, in a positive way, to support UN Habitat. Next, please.
Thank you, Bert. and the COVID context, the link between business, campaign, and civil society is much more closer. So I think it's an opportune time. Thank you for your leadership and views. May I now invite, before I call on our professionals group and team, may I invite the representative for the older persons, Mr. Cecil Stewart, please, from Jocelyn Institute of Sustainable Communities. We'll hear you. And then I'll go over to my three friends in the professionals group. Cecil, are you there? Okay, can I then in the meanwhile come back to the professionals group? I saw Analia a while back, Klaus Peter Hector, as well as Ishtiaq. I saw all three of them. So welcome, colleagues, and very nice that you've chosen to lead on the as co-chairs on the professionals group. So may I start with Analia?
Thank you, Sandeep. Greetings to everyone from New York City. It's a real pleasure to be with all of you in this assembly. And well, from a different professionals, like local parliaments, we've been working in legislation and with academia. We've been working with different careers and faculties in Latin America and beyond, and also the entrepreneurial ecosystem and the media ecosystem. Of course, as Mr. Ben Wong said, there are a lot of connections between all these groups or subgroups that we have in this BCG. So probably we have to connect all of our actions between us. But especially one of our commitments is to increase the visibility of the World Urban Campaign in our territories, and especially how are we going to implement the Sustainable Development Goals in our cities, in our communities, with concrete actions, because it's something that different people are asking us about. What are the SDGs, how they could implement the new urban agenda. And I think that we have to lead that and through different actions and connecting the different professionals that we have in every city. So that's our challenge, and I'm very glad to co-chair this group with Klaus and Ishtiaq.
Thank you, Analia. We look forward to your energy. You've been very active in all of the UTCs virtually, so thank you for being here. I really invite Klaus from, if you're there, Klaus, listening, may I request you to make your introduction and your future point of action?
Yes, I am here, and thank you for electing me on behalf of ICOMOS as co-chair of this professionals group. And my special hello goes to my two co-chairs, Analia and also Ishtiaq. We will work together in a friendly way, I hope, and I am sure. And what about me? I'm an architect, urban planner, and sociologist, and my objective is to contribute to our group, to the professionals group, by sharing relevant experiences and tools to advance a positive vision of urban development, placing cities at the center of strategies for change. Furthermore, I want to contribute as co-chair of our group in developing solutions and take action in cities and communities in implementing the new urban agenda to accelerate the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. So this is an objective like the objective Analia told us. So I will concur with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Klaus. And this is good. Before I sort of invite Ishtiaq. Ishtiaq, are you there? Once again, Ishtiaq, Ishtiaq is one of the members and leading members of the International Union of Architects. We are really pleased that there are 3 co-chairs for the professionals group. So Ishtiaq, may I request you, please?
I thank you, Sandeep. Can you hear me?
Very
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm very delighted to be here with all of you here today. It's been I'm from Bangladesh. I'm a practicing architect for last 30 years. And I've been with the One Urban campaign last 2013, I think, yeah. And I've been involved in the process of Habitat 3 implementation and this whole process. And also we have been from UIA, we were heavily involved into 5 UTCs. So far we have been conducted from UIA. And UIA is trying to be engaged with all the professionals. So I think it's like as a professionals, we have a lot to do in our agenda to implement those as a professional and bring all the actors together. I think with my colleagues, our co-chairs are very diverse. I welcome Analia and Klaus Peter. And diversity is the key factor to resolve all these issues. We know there will be differences among the professionals even, and also all the actors, all the stakeholders. But we have to come to at least raise the voice where we have our points together, at least 2 or 5 or 6 or 10 numbers that we raise our voice and act together on those issues of our where we find that these are we can act together in 1 or 2 points. So I think inequality is one issue, as I come from represent architects and also developing countries. So sustainable cities has to be affordable and equitable. And also informal sector is one of the issues I think we need to address as professionals. We right to design, right to plan is an key issue for our marginalized and low-income people. So with our team, I think we have only 2 years time since till 2022, and I hope to get represented professionals very well in our book 10, 11. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And your caution on the informal workers, particularly the majorities of the city, and not just the right to plan and design, but the right to the city itself is a welcome one. Thank you. Is Cecil here for the older persons group?
Yes.
I did see him in the beginning. So Cecil, welcome. Maybe Cecil, can I invite you, please?
Thank you. Do you hear me now?
Very clearly.
Good. Well, good day, everyone. I'm delighted, pleased, and honored to be with all of you. I am an architect specializing in community development, a former dean and professor of architecture, also a former president of the American Institute of Architects. The Joslin Institute I formed in 1996, and at that same time we established a relationship with the UN Habitat. We have been present when the WUC was formed and had previous extensive engagement. The past 3 or 4 years, I've had to move out of the involvement due to personal and domestic reasons. But I'm very happy to be back, and I'm looking forward to this being an integrative opportunity on behalf of older persons around the world, in cities in particular. Estimates indicate that by 2050, there will be 2 billion residents of cities of age 60 years and older. So we have some very real issues, the circumstances that are confronting us at the moment of climate change, of the pandemic for public health, of economic stress, and of some social unrest in various parts of the world add to the stress on older citizens everywhere. In terms of looking forward to integrative policies, we have the WHO age-friendly cities guidelines. We have the SDGs. We have the General Assembly of Partners' Interest in Older Persons, and the Joslin Institute has a very unique measurement tool for sustainability that I would like to bring to the analysis of these various indicators for future action and interest on behalf of older persons. So I think my immediate challenge is to be integrative with all of you and with the various members of the steering committee. And I'm so looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
Once again, a very warm welcome, Cecil, and thank you for your vision, for a very important idea that you have, along with where one can look at integrating it. Once again, I warmly welcome all the elected chairs and the co-chairs. We were discussing it, and we are so all very pleased that we are more members than there were seats, and that means we've really chosen well, and we've really chosen widely. The World Urban Campaign needs the energy, and this is really nice that in some of the groups we have chairs and co-chairs and several co-chairs. We are very, very honored and pleased with that energy and sense of collectivity. It does bring us a challenge that there is only in the constitution and in the processes, there's only one sort of voice or one weight for each of the working groups should that situation arise. So we will request particularly the co-chairs amongst you to work together and decide who would be the person amongst you representing for weight related purposes among the various steering groups. So it could be on rotation basis. You can decide collectively, but that's something I'd leave it for future and for your discussions amongst the co-chairs going along. Thank you and a warm welcome. I am personally so honored to have been a part of facilitating this session with the lovely people I seek to personally learn from, and all of us seem to learn from, want to learn from for the future of the World Urban Campaign. I turn it back with a warm thank you. If Malik hasn't joined us, then I turn it back to you, Christine, and Sri for the next set of facilitation. And I'll be taking a short break. My advance apologies. I have to go and make some presentation on the Civil Society Center's report. I'll be back soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandeep. Over to you. Of the assembly. Sri?
Thank you,
Maybe
Christine.
she left.
Yeah. So it's good. We've got all the introduction of all. It will be also a challenge for all of us. Something that we will work together to also fill in the other. This session, an assembly is not a place where we talk one way. An assembly is a place where we also hear from our members, brainstorming of the WUC activities that we want to work together in the next 1 or 2 years or even beyond that. Yeah. Before that, it's to also introduce to you, taking advantage that I'm facilitating also this particular section of the assembly, is to share with you an idea of for WUC members to consider, that is to actually participate in the agenda platform. Christine, maybe you can show the slide. What is the agenda, urban agenda platform? So you all are definitely familiar with the new urban agenda. So the urban agenda platform, which was launched by the ED of UN Habitat during the global observation of the World Habitat Day on the 5th of October, is actually a platform for reporting process, sharing action, knowledge on the implementation of the new urban agenda to achieve sustainable urban development. It has many components, so I invite you to take time because it is a platform, it's an online platform. It has 5 main components: member state online voluntary national reporting, sharing action, urban forum, urban best practices database and case studies, learning and capacity building resources, and urban agenda community to engage with other stakeholders, what they call the stakeholder spaces. And it lists all the PCGs that we have in the World Urban Campaign. The idea is World Urban Campaign, which is actually an advocacy platform, and how the members from the advocacy platform with ideas, with solution, to also contribute to the reporting platform. Next, Christine. You have to. So this is a space where the implementation, any new commitment for new action, showcase on urban solution, on best practice repository, learning, access to learning resources, and putting own visibility of your action, and start a discussion on the community of practice. Also, when we talk about knowledge and all that, you can already start putting, if you have any resources, any tools, you can already start putting that on the here, also where members of the World Urban Campaign can participate and make it into an active activities. The second idea that I just want to also share with you is the Decade of Action, the UN Decade of Action. And we have another, so that means we have another 10 years goals of the sustainable development goals, and the new urban agenda is actually sort of like the blueprint, the that would help us achieve the SDG goal 11 and other urban SDGs in other goals. So without to invite you to give some ideas for us to take it on. This is a brainstorming session. There's no right, there's no wrong. I mean, ideas. So raise your hand and I'll call and give your ideas. We have support from Secretariat taking these ideas and putting it into a list that them. Obviously it is very much need to be linked with our vision, our action, our mission, and also the commitment. The World Urban Campaign, an actionable, exciting advocacy space also could advise the ED and uplift the need to work on. So please raise your hand and I'll call you. Please don't be shy. You all have the space to share your ideas. This is a brainstorming space. Thank you. Please raise your hand and I'll call you. And if you're not talking, please mute yourself. I appreciate that.
Hi, Sri. Christine, I think you from time to time, so I would advise you don't show your camera, maybe. Sri.
Okay. Raise your hand.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Bert.
Yeah, Sri, because you've been more involved with the Urban Agenda platform. When I look at the website presently of the Urban Agenda platform, the World Urban Campaign is not mentioned. How do you see this connection? And maybe also Christine O'Clair can give some light on that.
We can work on that, Christine, because they are all working under the division, but so except for the, I think, different branches, I think. So Christine, maybe there's a way to work together on that. Christine, you have any
I think, yes, I think it's possible. Yes, I think we are supposed to be mentioned somewhere. It's in the partnerships and networks of the Urban Agenda platform. And there is a link to the World Urban Campaign. But the whole point here in that is that, you know, the World Urban Campaign is working on the implementation of the new Urban Agenda. And we're using the UTC as a device, Urban Thinkers Campus as a device to define joint solutions, joint initiative between the partners. So that's the mechanism of the campaign. So now every UTC is supposed to report on their plans and then on the implementation that they have put in place. So the whole point is when we have a result from UTCs, when there are new plans on implementing some parts of the new urban agenda, to promote them on this platform. So we need to make this happen. But before that, we need to make sure the UTCs are really implementing the new urban agenda.
True.
And we are providing results. And so, you know, that's a platform that ultimately we can use, but that's not an end in itself. The end is to implement the new urban agenda together. And how? With different activities. Yeah.
Clear.
So it's a way to show, yeah. But we are not there yet. It's no. Just an instrument, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Member World Urban Campaign.
Shri,
there is a
hands. Shri, this is yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't see the hands. If you can see the now, I can see the hands. Jane, yes, and then I have Quasi, Limota, and Daniel. So in that order, Jane Katz from Habitat for Humanity.
Okay, well, I'm no longer with Habitat for Humanity, just as a starter. I'm working with Global Urban Development. So just introducing that I've been working with GUD and Mark Weiss, who's on the phone. But my question really relates to, I've been working with, as a representative of a UNDRR's stakeholder group. And as part of that, I'm representing the new urban agenda on that platform. And I guess my question really relates to how we are coordinating with other UN agencies, because we'll be doing our own planning for the coming year on resilience and cities. And I just wanted to see if you have any thoughts about how we might coordinate the World Urban Campaign with some of these other platforms. Thank you. Oh, and congratulations, everybody.
Okay, we'll take Kwazi, Limota, and Danielle, and then we'll respond. So we'll take it as a cluster where I need to respond, or some of us need to respond. Thank you, Jane. Kwazi? Okay, Kwazi, are you able to speak? Kwazi, can you speak? We didn't do. Okay, Kwazi, while we sort out your audio, let me go to Limota.
Yes, thank you, Trey. My question is about implementation of our success story. How do we harvest our knowledge, a collective synergy to create a platform for sharing our success story in terms of localization of the new urban agenda and advocacy tools, using the UTC approach as a device for telling our success story as implementing partners towards realizing the new urban agenda and SDGs.
That's a question, Limota, you're asking. Yeah. Danielle, and then I'll go back to
can you hear me?
Yes, Danielle.
Okay, so I have a question similar to Limota. In 2016, I launched the International Real Estate Federation, The City We Need is Affordable, to encourage private developers to jump in and address the huge demand for affordable housing. And this campaign is going on. We have 4 publications so far. We're working on the 5th one. It's free to show a successful project in your city or your community. And we launched during a World Urban Thinkers Campus in June a new initiative of short talks of 15-20 minutes illustrated showing successful completed projects in different cities around the world. So my question is also, how can we share this information? And if any of you online have seen something extraordinary in your city with new concepts, please contact me at www.urbanthinkingtalks.com, which is a link I'd like to share with all of you. Maybe I can find the chat. And that's my question for today, because I think the pandemic has increased the urgency of our success in having the private sector jump in and build affordable housing, because a lot of people have lost a lot of revenues in the past few months. So they will need housing that's much more affordable. Thank you.
Kwazi, are you able to speak now? Is your audio working? Respond to the points highlighted by Jane, Lima, and Danielle. And maybe I could ask Christine to help respond. And then after that, I will go to Sise and Istihak for their point. So let's respond the first group first, yeah? Christine, is it possible for you to help respond on the question about sharing? And
yes.
If I mean, I know that there is space for reporting and sharing. Daniel, like you have the publication, there's space to share in the urban agenda platform. But Christine, please, if you have, especially the one that Mota asked, and also the one that Jane brought up about us engaging other spaces, urban spaces, particularly with the within the UN system, like the one with UNDRR.
Yes, I'd like to start with a question of Jane. The SDGs to accelerate the implementation of the SDGs. So we have less than 10 years to go. We have the COVID. That is where we are losing. Actually, the COVID is making us lose a lot of years of development. So we need to think the better the city. And the campaign is precisely a movement of urban thinkers to go about this decade of action, to go about this acceleration of the SDGs, and to connect basically the city we need, the new urban agenda, and the decade of action, the SDGs. So the UN decade of action allow us to work together at the UN level, and basically the WUC is supporting UN Habitat in its advocacy to talk about cities all over the world, to advocate and to create a movement of urban thinkers. And then to work under that decade of action is fundamental, because the decade of action is where all the UN agencies are working. Yeah. So UNODC is working under the decade of action. A lot of, every agency is doing the same. So we will join there. So I think we have a common language that is a decade of action as all UN agencies, and I think that's what we really need to focus on. And the new urban agenda platform is one platform, but we need to think of the decade of action is a broader platform. So we need to work on those two levels. Yeah. It looks like there are people who are not muted. Yeah. Okay. So to harness the UTCs are really the fundamental, to me, mechanism to gather as urban thinkers, to create synergies between different organizations of the campaign who are under the campaign, and to bring other organizations, but also to bring other UN agencies. So I think the UTC is a central mechanism to do that. And then it should, however, connect to the decade of action as much as possible. We should not stay only under the new urban agenda. We need to go upward and connect to the decade of action. That is an initiative of the Secretary General, and all agencies are meant to work under that framework. So over to you, Sri. Hope I've responded.
I was told that Malik is now online. Sise and Istihaq, if you allow me to actually give Malik to introduce himself as chair of the grassroots partner constituents group, and then I'll come back to Sise and Istihaq for their idea and questions. Can I please do that?
Yes, please.
Malik, are you online now?
Hey, it's Malik. Am I the floor?
Yes, you have the floor, Malik, for 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I'm very glad to be among you. And I would like to congratulate the Secretary and all of the WUC body in organizing this election successfully. So I just joined I just joined the panel now, like chair of those organizations who are working at the grassroots level, as I did since 38 years now from ENDA, my organization of origin. So I already have been very proactive in the work after Brazil conference in 2010. In 2012, during AfriCity organized in Dakar by the local authorities in Africa, I co-launched as ENDA with the WUC Secretariat in the presence of the ED. We had a very nice lunch and speech with the ministers in the municipality hall of Gejawai, which is in the suburb of Dakar, which is about 4 million of inhabitants. And this was gathering all grassroots organizations and CBOs who are very interested in the city they want. So it's what I can do. So since this time, since Rio creation of the work until now, including the Abu Dhabi, all meetings, I've been there. But I am also member of ENDA, but I'm also one of the creator of Habitat International Coalition, which was been created by civil society organization, among them ENDA chairman, with the presence of Jacques Bougnoucourt, our founder of our organization. So since 1987, I collaborated with UN Habitat in organizing all civil society and CBO's organization for West Africa and Central Africa. And I organized a meeting 88 about that, the community of Usui. Usui is a very small city of about less than 2,000 people. So, and who lead this initiative were a group of strong women, rural women. So women are very strong in Africa to initiate all sustainable development that inspired or urban development in Africa. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be with you. I'm Francophone. It's why my English is very what it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Malik, and thank you. Finally able to join us. I know you're very committed, and we are always also inspired by the work that ENDA has done. I can see that you're very active in our chat group with all kind of activities and inviting us to join you and those activities. Okay, so now I have Sise and Istihak and also Sun Yang after that. Yeah, please.
Hi. Well, I would like to, I think that I am a big fan of UTC. It is amazing because the first one I organized was 215, and I still feel the effects of what happened in that year in the city. Everybody discussed how it was wonderful, how it was incredible, what they learned from the UTC. And mainly because it was an UTC, but we also developed a kind of urban lab where we have all the partners together transforming a street in a neighborhood. It was a kind of
the environment and women's human rights. We are very interested to work with this group.
There's a background to somebody speaking very slowly. Sisse, it's yours. No, I'm not speaking anything.
No?
No?
No, it's not with me. Well, anyway.
Just now. Yeah. So Sisse, go ahead.
Okay. So we started doing something that we call research, that is knowledge from academia and traditional knowledge, creating solutions, and what we call activations. Activations is what we can call like an emergent urbanism or a tactic urbanism, but it is these experience where we put people together in order to build something, to transform something. And it's amazing. For the last 5 years, we have been doing that kind. It could be an event, a build of, we always have a lot of collaboration between different groups of people. Most of the time, we have very interesting things that arise, even if it is racism, even if it is things that show the difficulty to deal with in a city with huge social inequality. And it's amazing how in this opportunity things start to, collaboration start to happen. And I think that most important than the research, than everything, this kind of activation have a huge opportunity to nudge transformations and to understand what make people really interested to come and to do something in the city. So I have a lot of things that I could pinpoint in our site, but I think it was one of the good outcomes from the both UTC we have in our city. Okay.
Thank you, Cece. Istihaq?
Thank you, Sri. As Christine has mentioned, that we have to focus on the decade of action. And also in your current slide, it says, tell your story on the progress in implementing the new urban agenda and SDGs. I am last 4 years actually, since Habitat 3 process, I saw, is my feeling that especially the member states, very thin line, they recognize new urban agenda. Everybody talks about SDG and especially goal number 11, but the new urban agenda doesn't come much. So, and One Urban Campaign is one of the strong initiator and contributor to new urban agenda. And all the PCGs have contributed in new urban agenda through the implementation process of Habitat 3. So I think I will request or suggest that all PCG members, because this is a new election, new group of people has come since Habitat 3 in Quito. So we need to revisit what is new urban agenda says to us. It's like we have to dissect everything and reevaluate in the wake of this decade of action. We are studying next 10 years, how we can do this implementation process. This is very, very important, I think, because sometimes we are missing bits, and especially the member state. We have to communicate with our member state. I find in Asia, this is very, very very thin line of new urban agenda, though it's a document valid till 2030. So this is an aspirational document, and our roadmap towards implementing the goal number 11 and all SDGs. And all PCGs has got stake in that document. So I think I will ask WUC co-chairs to promote new urban agenda. I know in UTCs, all the UTCs are mostly focused in urban agenda, but also in other programs also PCG has to concentrate on the new urban agenda, because otherwise we cannot have a fruitful implementation of decade of action. Thank you. And also, sorry, another thing is like, we talked about multi-stakeholder forum. It's like multi-PCG initiative. So maybe first year we can have PCGs has to reorganize themselves. Then in the second year, before WUC 22, WUC 11, we have some sort of multi-PCG cross discussion. That's my suggestion, request to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Istihaq. Good ideas. And I think I would like to pick up on one thing, because I think urban campaign, who do we campaign to, or who do we track the implementation of the World Urban Agenda, in addition to us members also implementing and contributing to the implementation of the urban agenda, is with member states. And how do we work with them, or how do we remind them? So you brought that point, Istiak, the member states. Thank you. And Circe's idea of research. We have another, we have a few hands up now. And also I have another person who also showed hands up, but she's going to be being made a panelist soon by Leon, so she will do that. She'll then be able to ask a question. But in the meantime, Christine, if I may, I'll go ahead with another 3 ideas or questions, and then you can also take some of this response with Sise and Istihaq. Yeah, we have Chris, Elisa, we have Mustafa Zulkarnain, and we have Ellen Rank. So Chris, you go first.
Thanks. I have a question about media, and it may relate to the stories and sharing of those stories and information. Currently, there is no chair of that, and I'm wondering 2 things. One is, how many people are in that group? If we can bolster that group, and if we bolster that group, how can a chair be appointed? Do we have to wait to the next election, or is there interim possibilities for someone that can jump into that and help grow that group? Because I believe that group can help all the constituency groups through that media platform and shape it in a way that does that. So that's my question.
Thank you, Chris. Encik Mustafa? Mus?
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. I got 2 things here. One, as a start, I think just now there was a person that speaks in another language. In other webinars, there is this button that you can switch to translation. So maybe we need to actually allow that to happen, so that we have equity of expression, and also to actually listen in to some ideas, because we have a multitude of people here. Number 2, to echo back on Ishtiaq, just like SDGs, maybe we need to do a mapping of new urban agenda and what people have talked about a lot on SDGs, so that we can actually monitor that with our 160 odd items of the new urban agenda. Whereas with SDGs, you only monitor with 17, but new urban agenda, you need to monitor 160 or something. So I think we need a mapping of that, so that we can monitor by country or by project or by action. I don't know, but I think that's probably neat, so that, as what Chris was trying to say, we need to tell the media that under new urban agenda, there's a lot rather than just SDGs. Thank you.
Thank you, Encik Mustafa. Good idea on looking at the all the points in the new urban agenda and linking it with the SDGs. I think there's a way, or there may already be some indicators to do that. Elaine, sorry, not Ellen. Elaine. Yeah, I hope I pronounce your name correctly. You have your hands up.
It's Aline.
I don't have my hand up. Sorry,
Okay.
I don't have my hand up. Probably someone else.
Not Aline.
Alain Rank.
Alain Rank.
Alain Rank, yes. Alain? He was applauding. He was not raising his hands.
Not handsing. Sorry. Okay. Christine, do you want to respond to some
Yes.
of the points that have been? Yeah. Yours.
Yes, a few words. First, I really like what Mustafa and Istiak are saying. We have the two levels. We have the decade of action to achieve the SDGs, yeah, and these are our ultimate guides. So we have the targets, then we need to reach those targets. These are targets for the world. And then you have the new urban agendas that are sets of policy actions, recommendations that are helping us to achieve the SDGs in cities. So I think we have to distinguish those two levels, but they are interconnected. And I think maybe what the campaign could do is to establish a number of targets in terms of number of cities, for example, or number of communities where you want the SDGs to be implemented by 2030. And there are a lot of partners that are doing work in cities, communities. So maybe the campaign could count the result and could count how many communities, how many cities they have impacted through the UTCs as a mechanism. So it's just a suggestion, but we need to, what will the campaign be achieving should be measurable very clearly, and there is plenty of going on in this, and even through UTCs in the last few months. For example, I see Alain Rank. I was last week in a UTC in Geneva and in the city of Asnières. So there is the implementation of the new urban agenda is going on in certain cities and communities. So we can count them and we can say the campaign is contributing to that. So I think there is plenty here of work that the campaign could do, connecting to the decade of action to basically demonstrate that it's possible, and then we are achieving the SDGs in cities. So we are localized as UN Habitat. We are working, and UN Habitat and the World Urban Campaign. We are working in particular areas that are cities and communities. So in order to do so and to be to have an impact, I think we need to have all all constituencies represented. That is not the case at the moment. So Chris, you're very right. We need to recruit media. The parliamentarians are not there. Some of the key important partners are not yet represented sufficiently. So there is possibility to increase, and the media is very important because the media can tell the story about how partners of the campaign with their partners and other UN agencies are implementing the new urban agenda and achieving the SDGs. So I think to tell the story is very important. So we have announced that next year we will hold election for those vacant positions. And we need to recruit. And indeed, now that the campaign has a new governance from today, we are going to ask all the partner organizations. A lot of pending MOUs are there, a lot of organizations that are on our list but never contribute. And then and some partners who wanted to be there, but they have been waiting because we were in a transition. So from now, we are able to really going to amplify the campaign, bringing more people, bringing more individuals as well, not only organizations. And I think it's the role of all constituencies, all PCGs to basically bring organizations in their own groups, but also help bringing other organizations, media, local government association are there, but not very active yet. So I think there are a lot of gaps that we can adjust. And then we are starting also soon an evaluation of the campaign. So at the Secretary, we're working so to evaluate what are the gaps, but I think to move ahead at the same time and implementing the new urban agenda and the decade of action is this has been decided as the umbrella for the new mission of the campaign, the new vision of the campaign. The decade of action is the umbrella. So I think we need to all, with the new urban agenda, of course, but this is our ultimate target. And they are very clear targets. And I think to have a number of cities, number of communities, we need to have inspirational targets for all of us to know where we are going and what we want to achieve. So over to you, Sri.
Thank you, Tracy, clarifying and explaining all those points. I think we didn't. I didn't responded to also the point that Mustafa made about translation. Christine can help with some translation, but we will take note of the need to be inclusive, and we will find some resources for that future. And I know that Sun Yang is want to speak and have a question. Sun Yang?
So great to see you all. I'm so sorry not to see you in person.
Go ahead, Sun Yang.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, please.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Wanted to share with you that one of the important things that we saw in the SDGs from the point of view of climate justice and the climate emergency is the opening up of the engagement of industrialized countries. Particularly today, as you all know, is actually voting day in the United States. And hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead. We can hear you.
So wanted to remind you that we have yes, okay, right. So the importance of engaging the countries that are biggest polluters. So I wanted to share with you that we are planning to have a summit of our campaign here in the United States with the 50 cities who have ratified the Women's Human Rights Convention, the UN Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, as a legally binding city ordinance, and to bring the WUC ideas and the campaign to cities. So please, I'm going to put in the chat some information about our Cities for CEDAW campaign. Really feel as though it's important that we work with this group to make sure that the United States is engaged in this process. And then we are currently working with Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles. We have the mayors of Pittsburgh and all the major human rights cities with us. And we hope that we can work further on this. I think my question to this, in this situation is whether or not there are anyone else in this particular group who are working on the issues of the human rights framework that we can bring into the WUC. Thank you.
Didn't get your last point. I couldn't hear the last point about you asking in the
asking
group.
Yes, if there are people in this group that we could work with to bring the human rights framework into the work that we want to do in cities. And that includes women's human rights, but includes human rights of older persons, of all the particular groups that WUC Commission works with. But I just don't know this group well enough. I'm inviting the participation of this group and asking whether or not there are those who are particularly focused on the human rights framework. Thank you.
Thank you, Sun Yang. There is a human rights cities forum, and they meet every year, or they have their event almost every October, and they're part of the United Cities and Local Government program, a work stream in the with UCLG. I will, yeah. So I could link you up with that, and I think earlier I saw John Baptiste in here from UCLG as well. I don't know whether John Baptiste is still online. I don't see him now, but he's basically also the link on the person who is working with Emilia on that issue, on cities, on urban work. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Thanks a lot.
that But the point that you brought up about, the cities on CEDAW actually is a good point, and something also work together in this campaign. I think it's about, if you look at the principles that we have, it includes, so thank you, Sun Yang.
Sri Magdalena, may I talk a little?
Yes, Magdalena. I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry, but yes, please do.
Okay, it's very, very short. I'm going to say something. We work all the time with human rights. From Yerba Tinker Campus, Mexico, Peru, we have a proposal signed a lot of time ago, and I would like to put the field in this moment, is to incorporate a gender responsive in the campus guide. The pandemic has made visible the enormous inequalities that women face. So it's necessary to address gender responsive in transversal way in all the documents of WUC. And of course, I think that many things we must to think about transversality, about many. But women, we are the half of the population in the world, and we are old, we are young, we are everything. And I think that the gender responsive is a strong point of view that we must have in all our documents. Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be in this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Magdalena. Excellent.
Congratulations.
Very important point. Yeah, very good point, and that is a good point, and it's very much linked also to the inclusiveness that we want to make sure that this campaign. Any other hands up that have not been called? Any other ideas? We have over 50 members on participating in this assembly. No others? We have at least another.
Hello, Chair. I raised my hand.
Malik? Oh, you're okay, Malik. I'm sorry, I miss you. I thought you raised your hand for the other one.
Yes,
oh, good.
I raised
Please.
I raised it since minutes. Thank you very much. I also would like to send my inputs by the chat already, but I think it's not done. But I did this. In addition to Christian inputs for our campaign grassroots organization, are twins throughout targeted campaign to advocate for transformations required by the 2030 agenda.
Can you speak louder, Malik?
2030. Yeah, the 2030. Is it 2030? You heard me better? Is that better? Yes. I said
Better.
yes. I said that in addition to Christian inputs for the impact of our campaign in the field, that means, there is a monitoring process at the world level that every July in New York you have the high level forum where the countries have to come for presentations of their voluntary report, national report. This is very important that we know. I raised this during the meetings in Abu Dhabi. This is a very good monitoring with a very targeted, let's say, cycles of the goals, the state of development goals. If you take the process of access to affordable housing in October, or urban October, I organized with the Fédération Sénégalaise des Habitants. It's mainly about more than 12,000 of you women in 2 regions of Senegal. We make a Zoom event, very good medium came to there, and these ladies, they require a transformation. They require that all actors, starting by the lead, the government, to be in line with the 2030 agenda, because it means transformations of the reality for affordable housing. And these are bearing solutions, but these solutions need to be scaling up because they already make a demonstration of their capacity to make transformations. That means how to, in the area of vulnerability spaces, where you have a lot of French people say inondation. I think in English that means another word. It's in my hand, but I don't take it. The vulnerable, more than 40% of the people are living there, and it's where they have made their very best practices. And now what they do, allowing loans, credits and loans, and they are now some kind of, chapeau de fer. They come to their limits. Their limits means that they could not continue to making loan and credits without the government itself. And the Senegalese Bank of Housing, who is not doing a lot of things, but who would like to keep all this money without changing their plan and their strategic scheme of making this affordable housing. This is a transformation that requires. And I think our campaign is here to see how the grassroots organizations are doing. When the special rapporteur of affordable housing of the High Commission of Geneva, we should be able to call for a fact-finding mission to look what they have been doing and to ask for this national voluntary report. What have been the transformation required? Because as Christine say, decade of action means decade of transformations. And this should be quantified qualitatively and quantitatively, because you have some of the target CIBL. For the Sustainable Development Goals, you have targets. You have C11 for housing in cities, but you have a specific target for affordable housing. And what are the transformations within that in this action of decade? You cannot do so without doing a campaign, and it's what we have done in 5 of October. We have a Zoom. It was an international event, But basically, it is these leaders, women, that have demonstrated their action. And I think this is what I would like to make as contribution, saying that the campaign should have an impact in the process of new urban agenda, who is the focal point of the CSD 11 with its specific targets. And so our campaign should be more targeted. We should organize ourselves to monitor and to be a watchdogs of what is happening in the reports of national reports, voluntary national reports, to be presented. And if it is not positive, then we can organize an event in New York to have our inputs to make that. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to be very long. It's what I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Those are ideas that we will collect and look forward for members to also. Yeah. Peter, you.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
Please.
Thank you for giving me the floor. I want to stress one point, very short intervention. I think one of the summaries of our discussion are the inputs of Christina and Ishtiaq about the connection of the new urban agenda and the sustainable development. Because we are very far, or at least, let's say, we are more, we talk more about the SDGs and what we have reached, and but not so much about the new urban agenda, and especially not about the connection of these two areas. And I think it's always in the discussion like this. I know there's one experienced urbanist who has really good ideas about this connection. That is Michael Turner from Israel, and he always stresses this point. Don't forget the new urban agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Klaus-Peter, for the ideas. Teen, do you have any responses and things like that? And any points and from your side also to share?
Yes, I like what Malik is saying, that it's really important to show where we have an impact, and to link, basically to advocate at the country level, make change, for change, yeah? To advocate and to, in particular communities, particular cities, to have change happening, and that is reflected in a national reporting at the high level political forum. So I think we need to make the link as campaign at the country level with national reporting, if we can. You know, I know in Senegal it's possible, in many countries possible. It's not always inclusive. So I think the campaign should push for that, and that's very important. And again, he said that we need to count to really show that we have an impact where. So the campaign should be able to say we have. I agree with him. We have made changes in 200 communities and 1,000 cities around the world in 5 years or something like that. So we need to be able to count and to say what we have done. And it's very important to define targets again. And then, Peter, you're very right. We need to connect the dot between the new urban agenda and the SDGs. Always coming back to don't forget there is a new urban agenda, and don't forget the urban dimension of the SDGs. It's not only in target 11, it's in all targets, virtually all targets. So as the ED is saying, Target 11 is a docking station, the urban docking station for all the SDGs. I think this is the role of the campaign, to remind this at every level, at the national level, and to have an impact and to really, and the UTC, again, we are going back to the UTC, is a device for bringing partners together to implement. So we should not lose track of the success of the UTC and build from them. But I have seen a trend, even in the last phase of the UTCs, I don't see really the implementation happening. You know, it's the UTCs remain places where people are exchanging, are talking, are giving their views from different organizations. But in terms of implementation and planning on how to do it together, it's another story. So we need to push for more action-oriented UTCs if we want to be really being in the decade of action. It's about action. And then COVID-19 has reminded us that we need to continue moving ahead. And then more than ever, the World Bank has announced that between 88 to 110 million people have fallen into fell into extreme poverty in 2020. So we are losing as we go every day in terms of achieving the SDGs. So I think the campaign has done the right thing in starting those UTCs and this movement of urban thinkers around the COVID-19 to talk about all the gaps and how to address those gaps. And the urban gaps are enormous, and filling those gaps in cities is a big contribution to addressing the crisis. So I will end here. Over to you, Sri.
Thank you very much, Christine, for that insight and also some information for some of us. Very good ideas coming from all members, and I think we also maybe the Secretariat can also create a mailing list so that members can also post and share information also among themselves. And that can also create more interaction between members and also getting Secretariat also information. And the other point, I mean, I was thinking also how, in terms of recruiting more members for the PCGs that are still sort of vacant right now, and Chris brought up about the media, and we have a few others, including the. I think if there are opportunities for us as a campaign, as a World Urban Campaign, or rather, so to also have one event that we can invite others to participate and discuss, and that could also highlight the visibility of the campaign with groups that are not usually in the UN Habitat realm, for example. So we can think about that as well, and also bringing to the attention when there are urban events that our members are participating or aware of, for example, Urban Forum, the National Urban Forum, or at city level, we also bring up about the campaign and recruit people, or that there's this membership that others may want to join, or encourage others to join. Yeah, and I think. But if I may call on you, I don't know whether Sandeep is back, to also close this assembly, because I've been facilitating for almost 1 hour, and I think you are listening.
You did a great job.
Help. Yes. So,
Yeah.
but can you take over to close? And I take the opportunity to thank everybody who participate in this. And one of the co-chairs, I'm very excited working with you moving forward. So, Bert, over to you. And
Yeah,
thank you to the Secretariat as well for all this good work. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Sri.
But yours.
Yeah, thanks very much. First of all, I want to join you in thanking the Secretariat. You did a great job. I mean, this is the first online assembly in the new organization, and I think it was very successful. We had all the time nearly 60 participants, and I think that's a great achievement, and it shows the value of this kind of meetings. But even more, I think the discussion which we had. It was really great to listen to you and to hear the discussions between the partners. Again, of course, the congratulations to all the new elected chairs, but also all others, because it's the whole campaign who makes this thing running. It's not only the people who are organizing, but it's everybody who is joining in. For me, I think it's 4 points came for me as important. First of all, the enthusiasm to organize the constituents groups, and that people are will go into their constituents groups, organize themselves with the partners, the existing partners, but also trying to engage more partners in the campaign. That has been mentioned several times. Then secondly, it should not be silos. I think it was mentioned by several people. Chris said it, but also others. It's very important to work together with the different constituents groups. It can be formal, it can be informal. If you can, you need information from people. It's like many people already know them, of course, each other personally. But for new members, it's also very easy to reach out to people which are part of the World Urban Campaign. That's between the partners, but even more important, it's reach out beyond the World Urban Campaign. And of course, the Urban Thinkers Campus the urban campuses have been and will be the prime platform for this activity. It was really impressive to hear Christine Auclair explaining about the Urban Thinkers campuses over the last year. Despite all the trouble with the COVID-19, 3,500 people were engaged in the activities. I mean, I think it's a tremendous success, and I want to congratulate Christine and her team to achieve that. Number 4, it's good to have these, but maybe this number 3, one more thing. The Urban Thinkers Campus is one initiative, but maybe we can also think of more initiatives. And that may be something to think about for the next assembly. That there may be other initiatives which are taken by the World Urban Campaign and which are brought forward on a local level by partners, of course in cooperation with other partners, which can be as successful as the Urban Thinkers campuses. That may be something. But when we go from these Urban Thinkers campuses, then number 4, that was mentioned just now, the implementation. That it's so important to go beyond just talking, discussing, but to take action. And that is in line with the motto, which was explained clearly, the decade of action. Implementing the new urban agenda, implementing the sustainable development goals. And I think that is the challenge which we have for the next phase of the World Urban Campaign to do that. Well, it was great to meet you online. I hope to meet you all in person very soon again, and we will be able to share and to enjoy each other's company and discussions as we did in so many other steering committees all over the world, and lastly, of course, in Abu Dhabi. Take care, everybody. Well, the motto is clear. It's physical distancing, but social solidarity. And let's hope to meet again very soon. That's my point. Maybe you have the last words, Christine.
Thank you, Bert, and thank you to the other co-chairs. So the steering committee will meet at the end of November. They will define the new way to work together, the modalities of work, and in between, how we're going to interact, all of us. So very soon we will come back to you and we will work hard again before the end of the year so that we start afresh now. We have a new governance. This is really good. It has been a lot of work. So thank you all for your participation and contribution. And we look forward to continuing on this journey in the decade of action. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Christine. We miss you.
Especially
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tree. Thank you.
Ben, you are
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank
Thank you for this
Ciao.
meeting. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Christine. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Greeting from Nigeria.